A true corporate drama consumed the tech world this week. At the center of it all, OpenAI. The company wowed millions of people last year with ChatGPT, an online bot that can answer questions, generate term papers, and write poetry and even computer code. Its CEO, Sam Altman, was ousted from the company by its own board late last week, only to be hired back again a few days later. The Silicon Valley version of musical chairs has left many wondering about the future of artificial intelligence.
Can ChatGPT be a force for good? It's the billion-dollar question. A lot is certainly at stake as artificial intelligence is quickly becoming more powerful. OpenAI is the hottest company in the field these days, and questions over how to best channel recent technological developments were likely behind the firing of CEO Sam Altman and likely behind his return, announced in a short statement on social media platform X.
And raise your right.
Earlier this year, Altman and two fellow board members briefed Congress on the current state of AI.
Is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I think if this technology goes wrong, it can go quite wrong. And we want to be vocal about that. We want to work with the government to prevent that from happening. But we try to be very clear-eyed about what the downside case is and the work that we have to do to mitigate that.
Senator Hawley as well.
Working with the government is one option many at OpenAI apparently preferred. According to Reuters, just days before Altman was canned, several staff researchers had written a letter to the board of directors warning of a powerful artificial intelligence discovery that they said could threaten humanity, possibly warning of the dangers of monetizing the technology. Altman, however, seems to be open to just that, as his close ties to OpenAI's main investor Microsoft suggests. The company took him in hours after his firing, only to see him return to the old job days later.
For more on this, I'm joined by Fanny Hidvegi. She's the European Policy Manager of Access Now, a non-profit organization focused on defending digital civil rights. Fanny, a lot of back and forth this week in the AI community. What does it all mean?
Good afternoon. Well, it depends on who you consider as part of being that AI community. From a civil society perspective, this story is again a good example of why we need to move away from our dependence on a few tech companies that centralize power through access to data, infrastructure, and computational power. What's unique about this story in the OpenAI saga is the group or community called effective altruists, which is not the standard player in the usual government, civil society, private sector, academic world. And what's interesting in this is that they are being posturing as similarly to civil society, when in fact they benefit greatly from the AI hype through visibility and funding.
Right. So some analysts are saying that this toss-up is emblematic of a divide within the AI community between, I think you just mentioned it, between those who urge caution in using the technology and those who are for developing it as quickly as possible. Is that also how you're interpreting these events?
Our interpretation is more layered than that, because again, if you think about those who warn about the risks, there are very clear distinctions here. NGOs, civil society, some researchers, we've been calling for an attention on already existing human rights violations, when the effective altruist movement is more worried about very, very long-termist, or in other terms called extinction risks. And the safety concerns they raise, and that was Sam Altman's narrative when he did the tour around the world as well, is to focus on those type of risks, but let the industry do whatever they want in the context of everything else, and to water down regulation. So for me, the people who advocate for safeguards are not the same as the people in this story in the effective altruist movement.
Right, and now OpenAI has the same old CEO, Sam Altman, but a new board. How might this board be different from the past board, and how might things change?
Well, first of all, I believe that no matter the structure of the board and the composition, it will not meaningfully change the lack of public accountability around how this technology is being developed. And in concrete terms, we know that Microsoft and other investors are still in negotiation for a board seat. The initial board members are just a small group. It's 3 men, there are no women, but I believe there's even beyond gender representation, there are problems that we don't expect this board to center impacted communities. This board will not center human rights and those type of safeguards. So I don't think that any big change from our perspective can occur. And it's more like, I think, a win for Microsoft and big tech because they are very likely to gain even more control, at least in this company and beyond.
Fanny, Hidvegi, thank you so much for speaking to us.